Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. Now, I know for a lot of you reading the title, you might be thinking, ew, midday light, or ew, harsh light. Like, why would you ever want to shoot in that kind of light? As a photographer, I think it's been a definite process for me to appreciate how hard light and shooting in midday light can really enhance your images. I know that there is a very big stigma attached to harsh light and hard light, especially when you're shooting outdoors and you're shooting in the midday sun. But for me, it's something that I've really grown to love, and I really want to share some of the benefits today, especially for beauty photography, about shooting in midday light. It is not always the most flattering light. I will 100% agree that it is harder to work with this kind of light to make it appear flattering. But I think if you know a few little tricks, which I have discussed on my channel before, it definitely makes it easier. But I really do want to share some of those details of why I find it a very useful light to work with, especially when I'm doing outdoor beauty photography. Outdoor beauty photography can be a very difficult thing to do at times because, as we all know, you've only got the sun to work with, and sometimes, unfortunately, on certain days, you don't get that nice clouded filtered effect, or you don't get the really nice sunlight that you might want in a particular image. It's very unpredictable. In studio, there's so much more control. You can move lights around as you see fit. You can use different modifiers. You can really create the kind of light that you want. Outside, it's really important to work with lots of different lighting styles, and one of them I'm going to be covering today is midday light, but I want to be talking about why it is actually so good at times to work with. So the first point I want to make with why you should shoot in midday light and why it's a benefit is because you can really create some interesting shadows. Now, for a lot of you, I feel like you might be sitting there thinking, like, interesting, really? By interesting, do you mean really unflattering? And yes, sometimes the shadows can look unflattering, but there's also ways that you can use it to your advantage as well. Using the hard light to create some interesting shadows, using leaves and things like this over the skin or other different pattern fabrics can really create a very cool effect, especially when it comes to beauty photography. So definitely don't discount shadows in midday light at all. I think you can really create some interesting angles, and it's just about finding that right angle with your model's face when you're actually shooting in the midday light. Some of the photos that I'm showing on screen at the moment are from when I've used different textured plants and leaves and things like that to create those shadows, and sometimes I've just been getting the model to tilt their face different ways until I find that right angle that looks interesting and looks flattering. And sometimes that's just what you have to do in the midday light. It's not always the easiest light to work with, but you definitely can get those very interesting shadows, which can make for a very interesting photo. The second benefit that I want to talk about is the glow, and the glow can be really good. Now, I want to talk about this because I think that it is hard to get a nice glow on the skin at times when you're in outdoor light. You only have kind of a few opportunities to do this, and one of those opportunities I want to talk about is in midday light. Now, if you're getting really full hard sunlight onto the model's face, and if you've got a nice highlighter or a nice base, like foundation base for makeup on your model's face, this light is going to pick it up so beautifully. If you get that right angle, it will really illuminate the skin tone, and it's going to make it look fresh and natural. Sometimes this is not always the easiest thing to do in studio. There's certain ways that you can do this and recreate this light, but I definitely love shooting in midday light for this reason. And if I'm ever doing skincare test shoots and things like that, I always feel compelled to shoot in midday light because I really feel like it gives it that natural, fresh vibe that I want for those kinds of images. And number 3, some might say is a disadvantage. I can understand that, but it is picking up a lot of texture. And as I always say, as a retoucher and as a beauty photographer, texture for the skin is good. And I like to get as much texture as possible when I am photographing because it actually helps in the retouching process to an extent. So obviously, if you're working with a model that maybe is having some issues with acne or things like that, blemishes, it can sort of highlight those areas a little bit more. But like I said, just getting that right angle too with the sunlight can make it appear very flattering on the skin tone still. And I always say that picking up a lot of texture is good for retouching. It is good to work with. You don't want to be kind of working with anything that's too murky or too muddled, and especially when it comes to the makeup, you want that sharpness, you want that kind of detail involved. Number 4 is that it illuminates the eyes in a really interesting way. Now, you do have to be careful with this one, and it's really important to not cause your models to go blind, and really be careful with how you're directing your model in terms of looking up towards the sun or sort of like in the direction where their eyes eyes can be illuminated, not into the sun exactly. Having said that, it really does create this beautiful illumination in the eyes, and it's a very interesting effect that you can't always recreate very well in studio. So that's another reason why I love Midday Light. And number 5 is that it enhances different types of makeup styles. So I'm talking about specific styles here, not every style. And I like to actually tell people a lot of the time that certain makeup styles look better in certain different types of lighting situations. And that goes for the same when you're in outdoor lighting. But for certain makeup styles, they look incredible in midday light. And especially when it comes to glitter, anything that's going to catch the light, anything that's going to really show that detail on the skin, it looks so good. And I've got a few images here that I'll be showing on the screen of shooting in midday light and using a glittered texture on the makeup and how that can really pick up well with shooting in midday sun. So once again, I'm going to bring this back to the point that I made about really picking up detail and texture on the skin and texture in the makeup. This is one of those ways that it can really enhance different makeup styles, and I definitely encourage all of you guys out there who are a little bit afraid to shoot in midday light to give it a go and see what you can come up with, to experiment, because it's definitely a lighting source that people find to be just simply unflattering. But I definitely feel as photographers we should be able to shoot in any different type of situation, and one of these situations happens to be midday light. Okay guys, well I hope some of these points have helped you along with maybe finding some courage to go and shoot in midday light. I know that not everyone is a fan of doing it, but I do recommend it, and it's something that I use in a lot of my portfolio images these days. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure that you do, because I'll be posting lots more content in future. And let me know down in the comment section below what you like about shooting in midday light, or what you don't like about shooting in midday light. Actually, I'm interested to hear both sides from people. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!